What's going on? Welcome back to episode 6 of the Apex Destiny podcast. You can find out more about us on our Discord. The link is down below. We also have links to our YouTube where we post all of our podcast content, as well as links to our individual Twitter handles. What's going on, guys?
What up? Episode 6.
Episode 6. So I'm your host, Matt.
Legionless over here.
Fancy top hat with a face.
Yes! And let's go right into it. Let's talk about the TWAB from this week, guys. Anything that stuck out for you guys you want to discuss? I know it was a little bit
pretty dry. I think the coolest thing is how they're bringing back these sort of like community events that we saw last year. I've seen some people on Reddit wanting them to also bring back all the stats that they dropped last year, like how many kills we were getting.
Outbreak, how many people got all the different pinnacle weapons, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. People want to see how many edge transits have been dismantled.
Who doesn't?
But yeah, community event. What is it? First week of September. Focusing on Mars. So I think that'd be pretty exciting.
I mean, I was going to ask you, what do you guys think about that? Like, how they're going about this event?
I think it's gonna be pretty fun. A lot of people around the community already memeing, saying that they're going to try and bang out the goal in one day or even quicker. Because the reward at the end is to get extra drops in the menagerie. So I think that's gonna be pretty fun. Bang it out as fast as possible. Kind of self-imposed community challenge on top of the community challenge.
I think one of them tweeted at DMG or Cosmo, was it? And their response was, if you guys can finish this in one day, I'll go insane. I should have remembered what that actually was. But yeah, they have no intention of us letting us finish on that first day. And if we do, I feel like we're just going to kind of hurt ourselves because they're just going to pump up the Rex later on for all the next ones that they ever do. So
I think someone r/ did the math of like how many people are playing right now and how much each person would need to do, and it wasn't like too bad. But of course, that's not the actual number of people that are actually gonna be working on it. So that's why so many like content creators and like big names in the community are trying to focus their smaller communities on that one goal to like try and tackle it in one day, which I'm all down for. Be a nice fun thing to do right before Shadowkeep.
Well, right before, but we've actually got a lot. We have a full month. We've got Solstice of Heroes ends Tuesday, Iron Banners the week after that, then an update with some nice changes, and the community event. I kind of wish they'd throw Shadowkeep balance changes into this 9.3 update so we could play with them for a month instead of having, oh, you have 4 days until the raid, figure out the new balance stuff.
Yeah. It is kind of like the most stressful part about big updates to the game is like the learning curve associated with that, and the people that can get through that curve the fastest are the ones who are going to have the biggest advantage moving forward.
I'm so ready.
The raid race.
I've got good rolls on just about every archetype that is currently bad.
Yeah,
so we'll see what
I'm
happens.
ready. And I've got a shit ton of materials, so I'm set.
Yeah, that's another thing. This community event, it'll be a nice way to stack up enhancement, I guess. Actually, no, none of that stuff drops curated, does it?
No, but I think the Braytech Osprey is year 1, so it could
come
potentially drop, and when you dismantle it, you can get some cores.
All right.
Do you guys think that it's actually doable? Like this event's gonna actually complete with everybody in there?
Yeah, they're definitely. I think we're not gonna have that big of a challenge banging it out.
And what do I have to do to be like to get the rewards? What does my participation have to be? to
I
receive
think
the
you just
reward.
have to do one Nightfall.
That's all it is.
Yeah, so it's the 2 Mars strikes. They're gonna be Nightfalls, so you just have to bang out one of those. So if you do the Knocker's Nightfall,
And
bang
then you're
out
eligible
one.
to get the receive the reward.
Yep,
All
I
right.
believe Emblem's coming out with it, so that's kind of like the
I posted
achievement.
that picture up, before. I'll post it up again here.
Yep,
That's the emblem.
it's not a bad looking emblem.
Nah, that's cool.
I hope it tracks something. I like emblem track things. Give me a reason, like let me show the number of nightfalls I've completed.
I would
during
love
this
if
event.
the artifact did that. Like you could the artifact that we get, if you could select what you want it to track, and then you're free to use whatever emblem you want.
That'd be
Just
nice.
because I want to show off my giant triumph score without the ugly emblems that track it. That's all I want.
That
Give it
would
to
be
me.
nice. But yes, I definitely think we'll finish this.
Awesome. Because I'm only doing that Nightfall.
What else are you gonna do in
Every
Destiny?
What a
Every
team
Destiny
player.
hates me right now, yeah. Nah, I'll play. One thing I did want to add is I'm probably the only one in the clan that has tried out the cross save. So I wanted to like add my thoughts, and they're really good. I bought the game on Xbox to play with my nephew, and you just pretty much link all of your accounts, so your Xbox, whatever other consoles you have, on the website on Bungie.net. And as soon as you do that, like when I boot up my Xbox and I go to play, my character's already there, which is just really like seamless, super easy. Now, playing on Xbox really isn't that fun, but it's cool that you can do it, and I think this is definitely heading towards the right direction. I'm hoping for some crossplay like in the next year.
No,
It'd be so cool.
D3,
So cool.
D3. Maybe. There's too many different consoles. Maybe on the next console, crossplay could be viable. Otherwise, the forums would just be console players complaining about getting wrecked by PC players, and then ask.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they could even just balance it for PvE, I feel like nobody would have an issue with that. But I don't know if that would be what would happen. But I feel like if they did that, no one would complain.
Maybe.
But yeah, I could definitely see your point for PvP, no question.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think crossplay is gonna happen with D3, and I expect that the game will probably move over to Unreal Engine at that point. Just because they already have the kind of infrastructure there to make it pretty easy for crossplay. Plus, it'll also be like a selling point for the new consoles.
Yeah.
If you think that happens, you think we get Epic Store exclusive?
No, I don't think so. I think them kind of memeing around with it when they announced the Steam change. I think they fully recognize that going Epic exclusive is not a good
Not the way to
move.
go.
Yeah,
I sure hope so.
I hope by then Epic is a little bit more willing to play ball with people. So we'll see. It's a year or two away from now, so the hope is Epic Game Store is a lot better by then. Knock on wood.
Huh. Anyway, do you guys good with the TWAB?
There wasn't much in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much the community event, really. All right. So our topic for today is MTX and gaming and how we feel about it in the Destiny universe. Right?
For those that don't know, MTX is microtransactions.
I didn't know that. I should have probably specified. Oh. So, guys, have you ever spent money on microtransaction in any game? It doesn't have to be just Destiny.
Do you want to go first, Trace, or me?
I'll go first. I think I'm what most companies would consider a bit of a whale. I have no problem spending money on games I like, and I'm only 22, so I haven't really had. I've had a lot of disposable income that I've looking back, I wish I'd saved, but in the moment it's like, why not? I'll buy that thing. I like this game a lot. Even if it was just a little mobile game. So yeah, I spend money on games. I generally don't mind, but they definitely turns me off depending on the type.
Now, was it more like for cosmetic items, or were you like paying to win items like weapons or anything that would help you succeed in the game?
Oh, I've done it all. In stuff like mobile games, it's generally Another Life, or I played Tap Titans for a while, and those were all like you can get loot crates that basically just speed up your idle progression. I don't know why I like idle games, but I do. I played Neverwinter for a while. That game,
Okay.
oh my god. I remember I would go on to third-party sites to buy Astral Diamonds, and then you'd put like some really stupid thing on the store for 1,000,000 Astral Diamonds, and then they'd buy it from you off of the page to give it to you. And then you could trade that in for their actual currency. Because you needed a lot of actual currency to upgrade your gear, to do all sorts of ridiculous stuff. Very much this, but at the time I enjoyed the game. So I thought, it's like I'm getting 3 times the value by doing this. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I've probably spent $300 to $400 on loot boxes in Overwatch in the course of the year I played. So that's the most recent time that I've
Thanks for the sub.
purchased microtransactions.
Appreciate
Other than
you, Rex.
that, I think I probably spent like between 100 and 200 back in Destiny 1 when the Eververse first came out. I spent quite a bit on the Halloween event because there was this one skull mask that was super rare to get.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Destiny 1?
Yep.
Oh, God. I paid for it.
Yeah, I got that skull mask and everyone was jelly about it, but those are the only times I've ever spent money in games, I guess. So they were all cosmetic, but they were loot boxes, so they weren't like you guarantee the item. Haven't spent any money.
Gambling.
Yeah, it's like gambling. That's probably why I spent so much, was that high of
you
getting
remember
the skull.
The Taken set?
Yeah, I think it's
I paid for that. I put like $40 into that. I can't believe I did that.
I think I put a couple bucks in, but at that point I was like, yo, I fucking spent too much on the
Yeah, I don't blame
the
you.
skull. And yeah, I mean I would probably spend more money now, knowing kind of what that money Bungie puts towards like the Outbreak Perfected mission. I'm just kind of just chilling for right now until Shadowkeep, I think, and then I'll probably spend some money on actual purchases because like what you're getting now with the Everest changes.
True.
Well, do note, I think it's important to note that they never said that the money from the Whisper went to funding the Outbreak project, but rather that it was able to cover the Outbreak project.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that they wouldn't have made it without or whatever. I would like more information about that. Like, hey, if you like this thing, if you like this kind of mission, buy more of these things. But
yeah,
that'd be weird to say.
And they're always like super good about kind of like showing where the money goes, especially with their like charity stuff. They do so many like charity, like if you purchase something on the store, part of it goes to charity. You get like a special emblem for it. I don't know if they would go too much into detail about their for-profit stuff, but their not-for-profit stuff, they love showing that off.
Yeah, they're...
All right, guys. So we'll go to Legion first.
Have you spent any money, Matt?
Me? Oh, a lot.
Could have bought a
Shameful
car.
amount. I told you just in for the Taken set, I put in $40.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
I dropped
And so
50 when Curse of Osiris came. Just that day.
In fairness, though, after Destiny 1, I stopped. Like, I really didn't. I didn't put much money in. I think I got the Whisper skin, and that might be it.
Yeah.
And I think
Same
that was
for
it for
me.
me.
I haven't even bought that. It's been a couple that I've wanted, but I don't know, I just got kind of burnt. I spent way too much in Overwatch, and I was like, "That's fucking stupid, dude." But maybe in Shadowkeep, if they come out with like some really good ornaments and stuff like that, put a couple bucks down.
Yeah. So now we'll go to Legion first here. In your opinion, which AAA game had the worst microtransaction system?
That we've played or period?
I mean, that you think. You don't have to have played it. If you had read about it or something, that's fine too.
It's gonna have to be something I've heard of since all I fucking play is Destiny. But I guess I would have to say Star Wars Battlefield 2 when that first came out. That seemed pretty ridiculous. Yeah. My brother-in-law was like really into that. Like we both played the beta, and I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of fun. I don't know if I'll actually get it." And then it launched, and all that shit storm around it with like you would need to spend so much money just to get all the stuff. I was like, "Nah, I'm
that was
good."
horrible.
Yeah. So that's probably the only time I can really think of. I've heard like the Lord of the Rings game, Shadow of War.
Yeah, the sequel, I believe, yeah.
But I don't think that was
not
I
on
don't
the
think that
same
was
level
quite a
by
I
a
don't think that was
long
quite
shot.
as controversial because
It was super controversial because the first one had no microtransactions and this one had a little bit. I've been playing it recently, and they did a really good job fixing that game. There is too much content. But like it wasn't that big a deal at launch. You could buy stuff to level up your orcs and to move them around, which just circumvented the game, I suppose. But they didn't make it so like it was super hard to get them or too tough to train them or anything. It was just your basic. You can skip some of the grind of a single player. It wasn't nearly as bad as Battlefront, where in order to get iconic characters, you had to spend a ridiculous amount of time playing.
yeah. That's all I can really remember offhand. So yeah, I would say Battlefield 2 was or Battlefront. It's the worst one.
Yeah. Base thoughts?
Well, to beat the dead horse, I know FIFA's bad. I know that like
yeah,
that
FIFA.
entire thing exists just as a slot machine for kids to buy card packs on, and that's really stupid. But I'd have to go with Neverwinter. That game by Perfect World is such great potential. But like you had to so if there were like there were at least 7 different tiers of armor mods, or what in Destiny are armor mods, and you had to level them up by using other version or like other copies of that armor mod. But you had like a 5% chance to successfully level it up, and these things weren't cheap to level up. So you could buy something from the store for like $10 to guarantee that you level that up for one level. And there were like 7 of them. And then after that, oh my god, it kept getting harder. You needed more of them. It was absolutely ridiculous to try and get geared for endgame. It was easily one of the worst games and one of the only I've actually stopped playing because the microtransactions are so bad.
See, this is where we need a face cam. See how animated you get.
I'm very
show you a little red in the face, tears in your eyes.
Yeah, but like EA games are bad.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
I don't know, stuff when it's just cosmetic, like Raccoon saying, actually no, Fortnite is the biggest microtransactions. Is it though? People enjoy playing Fortnite, and as far as I know,
yeah,
see, purely cosmetic.
That we're actually gonna get to, but for me, and I didn't play too much of it. I played a little bit of it. It's Call of Duty, Black Ops 4. Actually, my brother and a couple of my close friends love what's it called? The Battle Royale, which I don't get. I don't know why they like it. But that, I believe, is just a slot machine as well for like the loot skins, and I think like some of the guns are tethered to it. Don't like quote me on that.
Yeah, there are guns tethered to boxes.
Yeah, which is horrible. Like you can't. I feel like that should be disallowed.
Well, it's pay to
literally
win.
Just a gamble. Yeah, but like, ugh. So Black Ops for me. But now I wanted to get back to what are your favorite microtransaction systems in games, and I wanted to actually lead with Fortnite. I'm not a Fortnite player, but I do like that everything is cosmetic and does not affect the gameplay at all. And that's why I'm putting that as one of my favorites because of that. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
I think I would
Yeah.
say the same thing. I played half a match of Fortnite and I've never played anymore. But the fact that you like, because the cosmetics are so personal, like you kind of identify with your, like your skin and all that. Um, so and you being able to like purchase those directly, I think, is kind of like the sweet spot. And it makes sense because it's a free to play game as well. So like that's why Epic has all God's money. So I would
Only a little
say
more
I'd say
money,
that
God.
yeah, I'd say that kind of structure, very good spot to be in.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I guess it depends on what you'd call microtransactions, because I'd say WoW or D2. WoW doesn't really have microtransactions though. It's more just like you can choose to boost a character, and then people make fun of you for it, or you can buy pets and mounts on there, which again is just cosmetic, except for the boost and the server transfers, which makes sense. Or Destiny 2. Destiny 2 lets you earn everything in game now. It's phenomenal. Like,
Well, yeah, I was
Couple
gonna hit on that as well. The new system, I love now what they're doing with just the cosmetics and stuff.
I actually
Okay, continue.
preferred the
The old one?
Forsaken and Black Armory system. I think that was the pinnacle of its success.
Now, question for you: wasn't the goal the gear purposely rolled poorly in those sets though?
I don't know anything about the armor, and I think the armor all looks like. If you were
Okay.
looking for the armor, yeah, I would have preferred that they made those just ornaments like they are doing now.
Okay. All right, I get you. Continue though. Sorry.
But yeah, back then I'm really disappointed that they brought back the best of year one emblem or engram. I like it, but it should have been a duplicate over the opulence engram because I really liked it. I would play a ton of stuff, and then because I played so much, I got everything that was in the store. It wasn't that much effort. I didn't go out of my way. I just played a bunch, and I ended up with all the stuff. I'm still getting it because I'm still getting engrams that dismantle bright dust, result in gear.
Yeah, I think there are still like a few things that are strictly silver, like some of the exotic ornaments are strictly silver, unless they're allowing you to use some silver dust for that.
I think
In
that
the
you
future?
can't use bright dust for
Bright
exotic
dust.
weapon quests. So stuff like I'm pretty sure you could buy the Lumina skin with it, but I don't think you could buy the Whisper or the
No,
Outbreak.
you can't buy the whisper. I don't think you can buy the last word. Cause I was like, hey, I want to get the last word one. Wasn't able to unless I spent silver. So I think there's like a few, like obviously the most popular ones are like last word. Probably not outbreak, but whisper definitely. Maybe Izanagi's burden as well, just because that's a sexy looking.
No, I
don't
definitely
know.
got that one.
Well, there might be. What I was saying is, I think there's like two that you can get, but there might be like a third for Izanagi that you have to pay for.
I haven't seen it yet.
Maybe, I don't know. There's just a couple that are only silver purchasable.
All right. So go to Legionless for this one. And this one we're probably gonna skim through because I don't even know how we're gonna answer it. But what makes a bad MTX system, a microtransaction system? What do you think sets a game up for massive failure when it comes to microtransactions in games?
I think the biggest issue is when you don't clarify the how it's supposed to work. So like if it's confusing, if the customer is under the impression that it's like if they spend X amount of money they're gonna get the stuff, but it's really they get a chance at getting the stuff. So things like that where the customer feels misled is probably the biggest no, I guess I would say, for microtransactions, because that's where like Destiny has fallen into that before, where like people are unsure what they're actually paying money towards, and that's where like loot boxes we see are in the news for being considered as gambling.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Face, would you like to add on that?
I would say that, in my opinion, a bad microtransaction system that's a failure for the company isn't the same thing as what we dislike, obviously. Like, it makes a ton of money. Though everyone who doesn't play it kind of hates it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the customer doesn't know what they're going to get with it, like that recent Apex Legends event where you had everyone went in and they're like, oh, cool, look at all this stuff. Wait, I have to buy all these things and then I can buy the other thing? Oh, that's a little weird. That's the kind of thing where people are going to end up not buying, probably. As for what makes it bad for the players, it would definitely be anything that's pay to win. It's called pay to win for a reason, and it just kind of defeats the whole point of a multiplayer game. Single player games, whatever. I don't care if you want to buy a god mode. If that's how you want to enjoy Skyrim, go ahead and do it. Whatever.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like for a free-to-play game, it's more acceptable to have these pay-to-win options because you didn't pay for the game. But a game like Call of Duty, when you're already dropping maybe $60+, right, for the deluxe version or whatever, and then you're gonna have these pay-to-win systems implemented in them, that's bad. And I think Activision's slowly learning that too now. Do you believe that microtransactions have a place in gaming, or would you rather do without them?
I think they have a spot in it. I think we're kind of like I've heard arguments on both sides of what the actual price for games today should be, since they haven't changed from their $60 price point for over a decade now. I've heard how they should be higher since inflation, but I've also heard that they should be the same price, if not lower, because the costs associated are different. And maybe even like the cost might even be lower in real-time dollars. But I think it has a good place now if done correctly and in the right circumstances. Like you were saying, if someone's paying $60 already for the game, having additional stuff where it could be considered like pay to win, definitely not a place in games currently, since it's such a hot button thing. Everyone, I think, kind of unanimously gets behind that. That's just not how they want their games to be. So cosmetics, I think, is where like the line of good microtransactions are, as long as they're strictly cosmetic. I think that's pretty good line in the sand.
Yeah, for me, it's the same thing. It's if a game is free, I kind of see the reason for that kind of stuff. You got to fund the game, right? But if you're paying, a premium price for a game, I think there is a place, like the way Destiny's approaching it now, the way Fortnite does, but that's about the extent of it. There should be zero pay to win in a game you paid $60 for.
Does that mean it's okay to have pay to win in a free to play game?
Yeah, that's where I would more like be accepting of it. I probably wouldn't play that game because of it, but I could also understand from like a developer standpoint, you kind of need to make money. So I feel like it's more accepting there.
I don't think pay to win is acceptable anyway. I think paying to skip the grind is one thing, like in Warframe. Like I went back in, I don't even really play the game that much. Equinox was one of my favorite frames, and I totally bought the Prime Equinox pack. I played with it for 10 hours or something. I had fun with it. It's not as much pay to win, it's just paying to skip the grind. It's not like I'm buying a thing that objectively makes me better than someone else at the game. Like when you buy a gun in Black Ops 4, that lets you make an entire game mode pointless because you can one-shot the objective that they're trying to defend. Like, that's just stupid. And I don't think that selling DLCs for money invalidates games' ability to sell cosmetic micro. I think you still need that. That's kind of stuff is still needed. And if they can find a way to fund it and give us more content, it's awesome. As long as it doesn't just go to the owner's magic company and we never see in it. I don't like that.
What a jab at Borderlands.
I would never.
We love Epic and all of their partners around here. Please sponsor us.
All right. So Luke Smith stated in the 3-part director's cut we got last week that some of the funds from the Whisper of the Worm, I guess the skins, help fund the 0-hour mission, right, for the Outbreak Perfected.
I believe he said that the purchases or the sales of the Whisper skins covered the cost of of development for the Outbreak mission.
So it definitely something went towards there from these microtransactions is what he was trying to get at, right?
Yeah, regardless of whether or not it was specifically, oh look, we now have money to do it. It was
exactly
this sort of thing is more feasible because players liked this content and bought it.
Yeah.
So the money exists.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So do you think this is an acceptable way to handle the microtransactions in gaming? For me, I do, because we're getting content out of it now. Not only can you buy something to make your new gun look shiny, now you're going to get, well, hopefully this continues, but you're going to get a new mission down the line that unlocks another cool thing. You know what I mean? I feel like this is the best way for a company to go about it, personally. How about you, Legion?
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have too much to
add. Yeah.
Well, I think a variation of that question, I think we all like more content, though, would be, if we already bought the annual pass, is it fair of Bungie to expect us to pay more money for skins in order to give us something down the road? Like, people would say, oh, well, we already paid for the Outbreak mission. Shouldn't we have gotten it anyway? If we don't spend money on the Outbreak skins, does that mean we're not going to get something in Shadowkeep for that? Should customers be expected to buy microtransactions in order to fund content that's part of a DLC pack?
You bring up a good question for sure. I mean, I guess I would weigh out what exactly I paid for, right? The annual pass was, when it launched, $35.
Yeah.
And we got technically 3 seasons, right? We got Black Armory, the nonsense Gambit one. What was it called?
Drifter. Season of the Drifter.
Season of the Drifter, and then the Opulence at the end. Based on what I got, without, let's say, the 0-hour mission, I was content paying the $35, even though I hated the Drifter season. It wasn't for me. Gambit, it's not for everybody, and that's a topic for another conversation. But based on that $35 price tag, I feel like we got what we paid for without that mission. So if buying a cosmetic item does give you that extra, I think that's cool, you know, for me anyway. Do you think that without the mission that content was worth your money?
Yeah, I really liked all the Opulence stuff, and more importantly, all the Drifter stuff. I had so much fun with those. Even those just cutscenes were awesome. I think that I agree with what you're saying, and I think that Dank or Legion summed it up in there. As long as it's additional content, like, oh, we suddenly have enough money to do this. Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. I don't want them to be like, oh, well, no one bought it, so now we're not going to give you an exotic quest next season. Too bad, we're just suddenly cutting it out.
Yeah, I agree.
Good. So, was Destiny 2 Year 1 microtransactions good or bad?
From what I heard, they were pretty bad.
I don't even remember. It's been so long.
Yeah, from what I heard, they were pretty bad. Like all of the extra content, like the like kind of like fun events like the Halloween event and the like Christmas type events where like you had to like throw money at it to get the stuff. There was no way to get any of the cool things without throwing money at it. So I think they got kind of crucified with that back then in year one, and that's why we've seen the Eververse kind of change over the last year and a half.
Base?
Um,
You spent more time in the game, I think, year one than I did.
yeah, I'm trying to remember. I know that we had to buy the engrams. We couldn't buy specific stuff. One thing that I remember sticking out to me is that there was actual kind of pay to win in those, in the beginning of Destiny 2. Like, whenever you were opening engrams from tests, you had to make sure that your mod inventory wasn't full, because otherwise you got mods from doing it, which was a little weird, and then meant that people who spent money had more mod components. It wasn't a big deal, and I'm definitely glad that people pushed back. I don't know. Nothing stood out to me as bad enough to make a note of. But then again, I didn't really do the events back then in that year. I was more focused on doing Leviathan.
Fair. Now, the devs openly stated that the rolls on the Eververse gear were intentionally bad, so players would not feel like they needed the MTX or the microtransactions to succeed in the game. Now, I feel like that would kind of render them useless too, because you want the cool gear, but then it's kind of poop. So it's like, do I really want it then? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of like that they went that route. Like, hey, we don't want players to actually benefit from this stuff, but at the same time, it's like, what's the fucking point of buying it?
Well, yeah, that's obviously the Eververse changes in Shadowkeep that we now see. So they're definitely very focused on the community feedback on that. It's a very touchy subject when additional money comes into play. So I think they're going the right direction with the Eververse in the future.
Yeah, these new changes are really nice.
Speaking of them, what do you guys think of the changes planned for year 3?
We'll see if I drop any money on them. We'll need to see
for me,
how.
I don't feel bad if I do want to drop money on this stuff now. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to, like the same thing like with the Fortnite conversation. Now I could buy shit that I want to buy, and it's not like really affecting the game or the gameplay. But I could look super sweet now. You know?
Yeah, not hurting
Love
myself
that.
by trying to look extra fly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see if I actually drop a couple bucks on it. It'll be what, around. We'll see. Maybe drop a couple bucks in the fall. Maybe end of year around Christmas. They have some cool end of year stuff.
I'm just kind of like excited to see what new stuff they have in there.
I like that Bright Dust is going to come from everything. I wonder, currently, the main point of having Guiding Light as a ghost perk is that you get experience faster. So I've got one of the reasons I play so much is I've got a shell that has Guiding Light with Gambit experience and Gambit Glimmer. So I get 20% XP bonus in Gambit, which lets me earn whatever they're called, the engrams faster. Are we going to have things like that on ghost shells now? That's going to be a little weird. And is that only going to be in new ghost shells too? Because the success of this Shadowkeep store is going to depend entirely on how much Bright Dust we can earn. If we earn too much Bright Dust, then no one's going to buy anything for money, because they'll just wait till it comes up in the store and then buy it with my free stuff. But if we don't earn enough, then people are going to be like, this isn't free. This is actually still just, you have to pay for it all. No one could be expected to earn this in that short amount of.
Do you think that maybe some options in there might just be for actual money and maybe not the Bright Dust?
Oh, for sure. I believe what they said they'll do is what we currently have, where like the front page will all just be silver. There's a ton of stuff you can buy just for silver. You know exactly what you're getting, and you're getting that thing for silver right now. Whereas everything else, you have to wait till it cycles through the store, and then you can pick it up for bright. And which means you've got to be playing every week to keep an eye out on things. Yeah, Dink, if they miss the mark, it'll be by not giving us enough dust. That would be bad. That'd be very bad.
So, if you could change the microtransaction system in Destiny 2, how would you do so if you could?
I don't know if there would be much I would change other than allowing a way to convert bright dust into silver. So like if you really wanted to like get absolutely everything without paying a cent, being able to convert the bright dust that you can earn in game into silver to then buy the stuff that's strictly silver. Probably be the only change I would make, just so that I don't to spend any money.
No, I like that. It would probably be like way less though in terms of like what you would get in return, but it's still a way for you to grind that out without paying anything. That would be cool. Face?
It's a good question. I think what I would do would be, obviously we're getting part of it in that I want in-game things to award bright dust, but I would specifically want high-end in-game things to award more bright. Like, give me a challenge for 3-manning certain raids, or doing really high score runs on Nightfalls. Give me repeatable triumphs that I can do over and over that award like 2 or 3 times as much bright dust as just a normal completion does. Make it so that by playing the game at a high level, I'm investing more in this game, and like to have some reward for that instead of just, oh look, I did this thing, it's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And it'd be an easier thing. It would be a way to add some reward to those types of challenges without requiring them to design something else that only like 1,000 people in the game are ever going to pick up.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I can dig it. Especially like what Dank is saying, make it more transparent. What you need to be able to, what you would need to do to be able to get the dust for the items in the season.
Like come out with a infograph. You need to spend this much time playing Gambit at a reward of this much to get everything.
Yeah. That might have to be something that a community person does. I don't know if they would be like,
Yeah,
if you play your game for 5 hours, you can get everything. I think they would kind of leave that kind of up to the user to make the assumption themselves or figure it out.
I'm sure that'll be one of the first Reddit posts as soon as Shadowkeep drops. We can get 200 bright dust per Gambit game, and each Gambit game takes 10 minutes, and there's 4,000 things in the store. You're going to need to play 5 weeks worth of just playing Gambit, and then buy it.
Let me add something here, because I listen to a lot of Destiny podcasts, and I was listening to Fireteam Chat, and they had Deej, I think it was Cosmo on there, and they did say there's going to be a direct path to the currencies, which is really cool. So what you guys are pretty much saying.
To the currencies, like to the bright dust, or to the
dust.
exotic currencies?
Bright dust in particular was talked about. So there will be avenues for you to go down if you just want to hunt down bright dust, let's say.
Well, does that mean that we're going to have to do separate things that won't just be
that
part of the gameplay loop? Because that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I want to say they mentioned like the pinnacle activities. I'm not positive on that, so don't quote me, but I feel like you get more for doing a raid or something.
Okay.
Than you would maybe doing like a strike.
That makes sense.
But, yeah. They did mention that, which was really cool to hear. Because obviously we're going to want to be grinding for that now.
Well, I can see a lot of complaints. I'm a casual player and I can't get everything.
Then bust out your wallet.
Yeah.
Are we going to have community events to grind bright dust?
That's a good question. Speaking of questions, let's get to the question and answers section of this podcast.
Yeah. Hopefully Rex has been collecting the questions.
We need you, Rex.
Go ahead and shoot me a DM, Rex, if you have. I think she's on mobile, so maybe not. We might be out on our own here.
All right, I know one that I saw that I want to address was Johnny wants us to talk about the shader purchase or the glow purchase.
I saw that.
I know a lot of people were really upset about that, especially when they thought that. I know one person thought that the event was only going to be a week long, so they were very upset about that. So I don't know. Do you guys think that $30 for all the glows is reasonable?
I don't know. That might be kind of expensive. I use pretty much all of the bright dust I have. Some pretty bright dust poor right now.
How much
literally
are you at?
had, I don't know, maybe less than 2K. Like I literally had like 16K bright dust, and I think it was like 15K total to purchase all of them.
5,000 each.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that knocked me out.
Really?
Do me both. I broke down every exotic ship I had, everything, and I made sure I didn't have to pay a dime for those. So there was definitely an avenue for you to get it. And I understand people are upset, but if you played the game and you really wanted to not spend money on it, you could get it without spending money.
I mean, like, it was only 15,000 bright dot.
Yeah.
Like, $30
Just
is a lot, but I feel like this is one of those things where they were specifically targeting whales with that. Like, maybe you have a kid. Yes, only Johnny. 15,000 is not a lot of bright, especially not over 4 weeks.
Yeah, most exotic ships or sparrows are like 500 to 1,000, right?
Dismantle.
When you dismantle them.
Yeah.
So if you played the game and you were getting these drops throughout the game, you would get. That's what I did. I just broke everything down. I was like, I don't need this stuff. I can always get it back from my collections. Break it down. Now I know everybody's saving it up for Shadowkeep because the new system's going to be in there. But I mean, I'll get there when I get there.
I do think that that's kind of specifically why they made it that.
Mm-hmm. Like, hey, you don't have to pay your real money, but this might affect you for Shadowkeep.
Yeah.
When you're purchasing stuff, yeah.
I guess the issue that Rabbit brought up is that casuals are probably the ones that are hurt by this the most because they're not going to have the time or know how, which is way more important than knowing how to grind bright dust. Like I said, put on a double experience ghost and go play Gambit for a while. That gives you quite a bit of experience. Pick up the Eververse bounties, which is contingent on you already having gotten quite a few items, so that could be difficult. But it definitely wasn't out of reach.
Yeah, I was still able to like buy a lot of the other stuff in the Eververse, so like it wasn't like that took out the most of my collection of dust. But the last little bit was because of all the other stuff I could buy in the Eververse for dust.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know, especially since it's glows that are only on this armor that I'm probably never going to use again after Shadowkeep comes out. Well, so that's an interesting point, Johnny. Hardcore player has the excess dust, whereas the casual doesn't. So, yeah, this really hurts the casual. Is it okay to have microtransactions and purchases like that are only going to be bought by the people who've spent more time in the game? Or is the issue then that it pushes casual players to actually spend money on it?
Yeah, I think there just needs to be maybe, and we might not need more ways to get dust, but the path to get dust I think needs to be a little bit more clear, because like a lot of people, they just don't dismantle things in Destiny, and if they kind of understood better what the how to get the dust, so like leveling up gives you the engrams, which give you a little bit of dust and some stuff that you can dismantle for more dust. I think is kind of something that's lost on those people that might be having trouble getting their dust.
Also, I think you'd be surprised about the casual audience willing to spend money. Casual players are usually the kind of players that just buy games, put them on a shelf. So they're willing to buy them. They're just not willing to play them. Johnny Casuals.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole event thing's been really weird. Like, people complaining about the armor being too grindy. It's just something for us to do for a month. It's not like it's supposed to be grindy. And then people complaining that it's too hard to get 3 sets. But like, you don't play the game that much anyway. Why do you need 3 sets? You don't even have 3 characters. So
yeah, and it is strictly for like looks at this point. Getting the sets.
The gear looks so good with the freaking ornaments.
Yeah, because like you can put whatever mod you want on it, come Shadowkeep, and so I have a good feeling we're not gonna see a lot of people rocking those sets. They're gonna be wanting to rock something a little bit more unique, and they're gonna have the option to now. So I don't think we're gonna see very many Solstice sets.
well, we
Now,
come
I have
November.
a question. And it's a stupid one.
What
But
else?
can I put the ornaments on the Solstice gear?
that would be weird. But
You know
I
what I'm
think
talking
so.
about? Right? Because it's 2.0 gear.
Yeah, maybe.
Just a question, yeah.
I would say probably.
Think so. Yeah, it would just be the Eververse ones that you can slap on it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
Probably, yeah.
Does that mean you can get Eververse armor that glows? Because that would be kind of cool.
oh, I doubt that. I'm
Nah,
sure once you slap on
it
the-
would overwrite it. Overwrite it, I feel like.
I agree with that.
Maybe. Well,
Would be cool though.
although we did, someone somewhere said, confirmed that there will be raid specific mods with a specific slot for them on raid gear, which kind of defeats the whole purpose, because that means that it doesn't matter if I want to use Leviathan. I'm probably going to end up going back and using the Garden of Salvation gear because it has those mods on it. Like, I'll have a Garden of Salvation set, and I'll have a Reaper set, and it'll be easy.
Yeah,
So-
like the Hive mods.
Yeah, that's what.
All right, now they're going on in chat about which grind for the Solstice gear was worse, this year or last year's. So, which one do you guys think was worse, this year or last year's?
I didn't like
Last year.
last year's.
I think this year is more. It feels like it's more to do, maybe, but I definitely think it feels way easier. There's so much you can double dip on, and it's not even difficult grind. It's not win Gambit games or anything. You don't have to do these amped up story missions at all. It's just, I got a bunch of orbs, I killed some guardians, bada bing, bada boom, I'm done.
Yeah, people I think just rose-colored glasses looking back at the old one because you were like kind of running like new content, quote unquote new content, because it was different. Like the story missions were different. But I recall not having a very fun time with last year's, and I kind of enjoyed this one.
Well, it gave you like a reason just to grind activities out in the game. I hated it at first, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and like Face said, you can double dip. I was getting some triumphs. I was completing some like random quests that I had on alt characters just to kind of bang them out.
Yeah, not bad.
You could work on multiple things at the same time.
So I wanted to get all the sets last year, and I waited to the very last minute. So I remember the last day I had to finish up one character and then start a brand new character for like that last night, and I stayed up till 8 in the morning, completed it, and didn't pick up the ship. So that's how my soul. So I'd like this year's better.
Fair
I don't
enough.
think there's any other questions we've gotten. So last call for questions in the Q&A before we end episode 6.
We'll open it up. Any question. It could be about the clan. It doesn't have to be about today's episode. Come on. One more. Let's get a good one. All right. You had a valid argument for the Bright Dust. How's that?
And that's just a pity one. We're giving that to you out of pity.
You think you're right about the glows being too much?
Yeah, he is. He does think that.
No. If the glows were like a super cool ghost that had an exclusive perk, yeah, for sure. They're little ornaments for something that you already need to sink a ton of time into that no one's going to see again. So they're not really aimed at the casual player to begin with.
Hot pink. We want hot pink, boys.
No, that looks so bad.
It would look really weird with our current color scheme.
Discord ends up like changing it back and forth on a whim, like slightly.
Well, Pasta, see, the thing is, did you even break down any of your ships, any of your ghosts, anything like that? Because I had to break down quite a bit to get to that 15,000 mark.
You could be a non-casual and still have to buy them, especially if you weren't actively, like, did you pick up all of your Eververse bounties every week? Were you doing activities with the intent of getting XP? That sort of.
I mean, I'm broke on the dust now, Johnny, but I really didn't have a problem with that. Like, it was pretty easy to.
I suppose I had 70,000 to begin with anyway.
Jesus.
So it wasn't really an issue for me.
He just told you how. Double XP. 20% XP in Gambit.
There you go.
Yeah, I sold my car to get $30 to buy the glows.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. If I couldn't get them with Bright Dust, I'd be more than happy dishing out the money just because it looks so sick. That's just my opinion.
Even though you're never going to use it come October.
Mini Sparrow's terrible.
I hope that's not true, but you're probably right, Legion.
We'll probably get to the point at the end where we're like, okay, I need something else to do. Why don't I deck out a different armor set?
You know what? All that grind was worth it, because at least for the first day of Shadowkeep, I'll wear that.
Yeah, it was...
for the first day.
Mini Sparrow was terrible. It's a bad sparrow.
That thing is so funny, though.
It's funny, but
like just for like comedic purposes alone. I am swallowing it. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for showing up at the end of the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Well, I think that wraps up episode 6.
This show, guys.
Okay, wait. I need to clarify on that. The Mini Sparrow is not worth it because it has an invisible front half, and that invisible front half is totally stupid. If you get rid of the invisible front half...
Wait, really?
Did they fix that? I thought that was something else.
I think they said they're going to.
If they can do that, I'll give the Mini Sparrow the respect it deserves, because then it would have a smaller hitbox and would obviously. But in the meantime, it's just stupid. It just you try and turn and then you get caught on a corner. No, thank you. I'll pass on. I'll use a Sparrow that I can see.
All right, guys.
Says the guy who couldn't even buy the glows, saying that I don't know it.
Yeah, Johnny, they're still ragging on you, so I got to end the show on that. That's all the time we have. We're going to go overtime.
Yep.
And you can find the link to our Discord down below, as well as our YouTube, our clan Twitter, and also our individual Twitter handles. Thank you guys so much, and please tune in next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern for episode 7. Thank you for stopping by.
Bye, guys.
See you.